Hello traders and investors, welcome back to the Trend Trader channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this week's most anticipated earnings. At the end of the video, we're also going to be looking at the chart of Bitcoin, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. If there's any company that you're interested in, you can use the timestamp to go through to the company that you want to look at. Remember, the analysis is based on technical analysis. Some of these companies have good fundamental analysis. However, the actions that we take are based purely on technical analysis. Before we start, I would like to ask those who haven't subscribed to please consider subscribing. So for this week's, these are some of the most anticipated earnings. We can see that there are some results that will be coming from companies such as PDD, General Mills, Micron, Nike, Lululemon, FedEx, among other companies. Obviously, this is a long list of companies. We're just gonna be covering a few of those companies that shows good technicals. Before we look at the most anticipated earnings, we saw that the energy sector was looking interesting. Remember that within the energy sector, there is also industries. So when we talk about the energy sector, there is going to be a couple of companies within or some sub-industries within that sector that can potentially do well. So what we're looking at here, we are looking at the chart of the XLE ETF or the SPDR selector fund that tracks the energy select sector. What we like about this chart, you can see that the share price is now approaching this resistance level here, just somewhere around $92. If we see considerable amount of strength within this sector, then we can expect that the share price of this ETF is going to break above that $92 per share. As you can see, the ETF itself is a bigger picture because it tracks a lot of companies. We can then start to zoom in some of the companies within the sector. One of the companies that looks good on the chart is FTI. So as you can see, FTI, it broke above this resistance level here with a nice volume breakout that happened a few weeks ago. The share price is still above $24, or it's still above that resistance level here, and you can clearly see that the share price is in an uptrend. There was this period of consolidation before that breakout happened. So if you look, that consolidation started somewhere around August 2023 going to September 2023. So there was enough time for the stock to digest that movement, and now that we have a breakout, then we can expect the share price to continue to go up. However, if you missed that breakout, you can also wait for a pullback if there's going to be a pullback, and then buy when the share price comes back to retest that recent breakout area. So we are happy with this setup. And also there is STNG, which is Scorpio tankers. It's also another interesting setup. As you can see, the stock has just been moving like this in a way that it has been consolidating sideways, and then you can see now there's this small consolidation area here. So we are looking for a breakout, but we already have a position in our portfolio here. But if there's a breakout around $72, then it is a stock that is worth considering. We're also expecting for an upward move in this particular stock. Remember, all this relies heavily on the energy sector. If the energy sector does well, then this stock can potentially work. And then why we keep on looking to this kind of setup, a few weeks ago we bought MPC because of the setup that we saw. So basically there was also this sort of consolidation. Then we bought MPC at this breakout. As you can see, from around $160 per share, the stock is now trading around 193 per share. Again, we look at the technical setup, we look at the sector, what is happening within the sector. Some of these setups are repetitive, and that is what we're exploiting whenever we look at similar companies. Now, coming back to the companies that will be releasing their earnings this week, we want to first look at Cal. So we may not be familiar with some of these companies, but we're simply looking them from a technical analysis perspective. As you can see, there is this sort of consolidation that is happening here. Positive result will easily push the share price above $39, but it is a position. We don't have a position here. We are simply waiting for those earnings results to come out before we make any trade decision. But this is a consolidation area that we are looking to trade in. Otherwise, we can also expect the share price to come back and retest this somewhere around $35 per share area if the news are not interpreted as positive by the market. And then let us look at PDD. We know some people may have some reservations when it comes to trading Chinese companies, but it is what it is. We don't discriminate companies, we just look at the technical chart itself. You can see that PDD broke above this resistance level, so now it has came back to retest this level. You can see now there was that breakout movement, and then it consolidated to come back and retest that previous resistance level. So now the next move that we are looking at is the share price coming back to this around $140 per share. If the news are obviously positive, you can always, while waiting for the news, you can set a buy stop order somewhere around $142 per share, in anticipation that if the news is positive, the share price is going to break out there, and then you can get a nice low risk entry near the pivot level and have a stop loss just below that breakout level. In that case, this is going to be one trade that can easily offer you a decent risk to reward. So we have a PDD on our watch list. We are keeping an eye on that stock. Then let us look at General Mills. What interests us about General Mills, we can see that the stock has been on a downtrend, but you can start to see that it was showing some characteristics of a bottoming stock. It has been moving sideways since August 2023 without making any new low. And then you can notice that there was that attempted breakout that happened recently with a follow-through week. Remember, we are looking at the weekly chart, so this is not a follow-through day, but it is a follow-through week. So now this can potentially mean that GIS is currently on its stage 2, if you are familiar with a stage analysis. So as things stand, this is the level that we're looking at. We can still buy General Mills at the current share price, and then we can have a stop loss just below this breakout level there. Obviously, the stock is always going to need a positive catalyst to propel it up there, and depending on the result, we can anticipate that the share price of GIS can continue to move on the upside direction. Now let us look at Micron technology. We saw some other technology companies have been doing well. So the first thing that you notice is that Micron technology is trading near this high, this resistance level here. There was an attempt to break above this level at the beginning of 2022, but it happened without success. Recently, the stock has been on a nice uptrend there, so there's been a positive momentum pushing the stock up there. So now this is the area that we are looking at. We want to see if the stock can trade above $98 per share, and if it can break above $98 per share, it will mean that Micron technology will be trading at a new all-time high, and we know that most of the time we are always bullish of those all-time high, especially if the stock is coming out of consolidation. So we will obviously be looking for a potential breakout above this level, which will trigger our entry into a position in this particular stock. Then there's another company that Academy Sports and Outdoors. It also has a promising chart. You can see the stock is trading above a new highs. So what looks like there was a breakout with a bit of a consolidation. So if there's a breakout above that consolidation area, that will be another entry level in anticipation for the share price to continue to move up. Obviously, this will largely depend on the result that this stock is going to come up. And as you know, the alternative is always for a price breakdown. Since we're looking for a long position, we don't want this kind of move. We're not interested in that move. So we'll be looking to buy Academy Sports and Outdoors if it starts to trade above $79 per share. So we are waiting on those results to see how the share price is going to behave post earnings release. And then lastly, of the stocks that will be releasing their earnings, we're going to be looking at Lululemon. Lululemon is just it recently found support near this key moving average. So this is the level that we're keeping an eye on. If Lululemon comes up with a positive news, then we are looking at a breakout above this level. So we're looking at a breakout above this level. This will be a confirmation of an uptrend, but also it will show that Lululemon will be breaking to new all-time highs. So at this moment, we want to see if the share price of Lululemon can trade from this $460 per share coming to $500 per share. For those people who appreciate a risk, there is also an opportunity to buy at the current share price with a stop just below this level, in anticipation that the stock can rise and reach that level. However, you need to pay attention in terms of the risk to reward. If the risk to reward is less than 1.2, then it is not worth taking that position. At all times, ideally, an ideal risk to reward is 1:3, because now with this you can have a 30% win rate and still be able to make money in the stock market. So we have covered all the companies that will be releasing their earnings this coming week. I mentioned that you're also going to be looking at the chart of Bitcoin. So we saw in the previous analysis, we mentioned that Bitcoin was trying to break above these highs to create a new all-time high. Where we are at the moment, if we zoom in, you can see that it looks like Bitcoin is trying to pull back below that breakout level here. So there's a lot that is happening. Remember, Bitcoin, there are people that believe it is a speculative asset. There are people that believe that Bitcoin is here to change the world. Whatever it is that you believe in, if you are rooting for the upside or you're looking for the long position, you want Bitcoin to stay above this level, or we can say above a $70 level. That's the position that we'll be keen to see what is going to happen around this price. And just like we mentioned in the previous analysis, we won't be surprised if Bitcoin can pull back at least to find support on this moving average, which would be somewhere around 45,000 US dollars per coin. We also mentioned that it does look like a far-fetched scenario. However, for the share price or the price of Bitcoin to continue to move up, it needs people to continue buying Bitcoin. So that's it in terms of Bitcoin. And then now let us look at the S&P 500. We're going to use the SPY ETF as a proxy for S&P 500. You can see it's still on a nice uptrend here. For the past 2 weeks, there was that a bit of a slowdown there. As you can see, it failed to make a new highs. You can see that there was some selling pressure that was in there. But as things stand, it is still above 500 US dollar. It will be happy if we see it trading above this level, maybe let's say 520 level. That will be a nice confirmation of a price continuing to move further up, depending on the number of companies in the S&P 500 that are moving up in comparison to the companies that are moving down. We can still expect the S&P 500 to continue to move up. And then lastly, let us look at a Nasdaq ETF, which is the QQQ. It's the one that we use as a proxy for Nasdaq. So we've been holding this for quite some time now. Reason was simple. We traded what at that time looked like a simple cup and handle. So we bought Nasdaq as it broke above this level. We've been holding that position since then. As you can see, we are in the money in terms of that position, and we've been adjusting our stop as it has been going up. Similar to S&P 500, the Nasdaq is failing to make new highs, so we are looking at that consolidation area there in anticipation that there could be a potential breakout on the upside. So we need more tech companies to continue to move up. Among other things, we saw Alphabet trying to it opened with a gap yesterday. So if you look at companies such as Meta Platforms, Alphabet, and Nvidia, obviously, then we can expect the QQQ ETF to continue to move on the upside. So that's it for today. If you found value in this analysis, please make sure that you subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and make sure that you smash that like button. As always, if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section. We will see you in the next video.